So it's been 30 years since the release of Song of Life, and it still hides so many secrets. 3 years ago, I released a breakdown of it. It was my first video in this format. That video blew up and it actually changed my life. It was the first glimmer of hope after years of trying that I could actually make a reality of doing music as a job. But of course, I didn't get everything exactly right. And since then, thanks to the incredible feedback and insights from you, the viewers, in the comments to that video, I've uncovered key samples that aren't documented anywhere online. They've been completely unknown to nearly all of the millions of people who've been listening to this track for the last 30 years until now. So in this video I'm going to show you exactly which hidden samples we've finally tracked down, the subtle musical choices that make Song of Life one of the best dance tracks of all time, and how I fixed and improved my original recreation to get closer than ever before. So let's dive in. So this is 100% my recreation. I'm not actually going to play the original in this video, and that is one of the vocal samples I've discovered thanks to one of you guys. We'll look at that in a sec, but first of all, this low bass, where does it come from? It is just the riff, the 303 riff from later on in the track, slowed down by half speed. I made a mistake, I think, in the end part of the note, so I got pretty close with the sound, but a lot of you pointed out that the sequence wasn't quite right. I used La 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 to isolate the riff. So that's the original riff from the track. And then if we just use repitch and play that at half speed, we get this. Instead of using my TD3, I used Fosun 2. I think it sounds great. I spent some time trying to get the riff right, so I think I had this pretty much right, but I think that's the last note, so let's hear it. So I recorded that as audio, pitched it down, got some reverb. I'm using the Arturia LX24, which is like a Lexicon reverb. Something I missed last time, it's got this quite fast delay. That is a 1 on this. I think that's a 16th note or an 8th note. The only other thing I got wrong was I added another sound. I layered 2 303s to get that wow, wow. If you listen, there's a wonk wonk sound. So I thought that was another sound, but actually what I did was I used the accent. I think this has just got an accent on it. So if we look at the MIDI of the fast riff, so to get the accent in the software, you just play it louder. So it's this. So if we turn the accent up, so it's like a subtle difference, but you get the womp womp. It's not precisely the same, but it's sounding pretty good to me. Really excited to move on to this next bit. This hey, this was kindly pointed out to me by Drift Music, thank you so much. And it's actually Laurie Anderson, and the track is called Radar, and it's the live version. It's from the live album called Home of the Brave, but it's definitely it, it's bang on. So let's have another quick listen. So I tend to get a bit obsessive when I'm doing these recreations, and so it means so much to me to have these little pieces of the puzzle filled in. So yeah, thanks so much for that. To recreate the sound of the delay, they seem to use this quite a lot in this track. There's a delay which is panning around. Maybe it's just a ping pong delay. Yeah, so I think maybe it's got more than one tap. So I've got 2 delays going on. One on like the 8th note. So it makes it go hey 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 hey. And then we've got a half note which is making it go hey 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 hey. And then we've got the auto pan just moving it around the stereo field. This I included in my first video. This is Oi Maro to get the sound, we've just got two kind of chops of it, quite near the beginning. So that's the first part, and then the second part is just a bit later on. So a lot of you tried to help me with the synth sounds in this, and honestly it's quite difficult to incorporate all of the advice, but I do feel that this has the vibe of the sound. It's not exactly the same, and I feel like what they've done is they had a sound a bit like what I've got now, and then they processed it a bit more. Sounds like it went through another filter with some resonance. So this is the patch, quite a lot of resonance, a little bit of envelope. This is what the envelopes are doing. So I've got the VCA and the VCF on envelope 1. Bit of pulse, bit of saw, and the pulse width is quite thin. One thing I love about doing these is you learn so much about production, and in this arrangement, like, it's so easy to put stuff in your track and just leave it there, and this is what I notice a lot with people I work with. You notice they had that lovely Oi Marrow, and then they just took it out straight away. Have it play for 8 bars, take it out, have it play for 8 bars. And it's such an iconic part, but it never plays for that long. It plays once, twice, and then once more, and that's it. So bringing things in and out is such a simple but powerful way of adding interest to your track. Then we get to the first drop, and I really love how they do it. This is listed on who sampled. This is Time So Hard. It's just a little drum break in this dub track. I think it's a half note delay, which is similar. I think they used it quite a lot on this track. And the brilliant thing is they just wait for a bar, so we're just hanging. If it just drops straight in, it wouldn't have half as much impact as it does like this. And again, this is a great thing to take away. So that leads us perfectly into this section, and we've got another sample that I found thanks to one of you guys. Actually, a couple of you mentioned it, but one person said the exact track. So let's actually, before we look at that, look at the break, which is incredible bongo band Last Bongo in Belgium. Try saying that 3 times fast. I've rolled off a lot of the highs. If we don't have the EQ on, it's got loads of high end. And actually, we're playing just the right channel. So if you take this utility off, you get, there's loads of bongos in it. Which sounds good on its own, but it's kind of a bit messy in the context of the track. So this is a really nice little technique. You can just use one side or the other. And quite a lot of old tracks, things were hard panned. So these bongos are hard panned. So we can get a version of this break without the bongos at all. And that is the break from Angel by Massive Attack. Let me know if you'd like me to cover that one in the future. So the bass is just a really classic dubby bass. I can't show you the notes because I recorded it as audio. So what is this? So a lot of you will actually recognise that. It's Kraftwerk Tour de France, and yeah, thank you so much to Gazfunk for telling me about this. They might have chopped it up into bits to get the rhythmic thing. In fact, I suspect they probably did do that. Then the track just builds from there. I love this whole bit. It's kind of like trip hop before trip hop. So let's just have a bit of a listen. And that is another sample. I'm so happy about all these little pieces of my jigsaw coming together. Thank you so much to Ironballs88, I love saying that, Ironballs, for telling me that this is, the track is called Celebrate Life, and it's an a cappella. I mean, what song of life without the live sample, huh? So the next sound is this. Basically, I'm fairly happy with what I've done with this. It's pretty much the vibe. I think they use different processors, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they had used a Juno. So I've used the Arturia Juno for this, based on this patch 53 phase combi. A lot of the sound is coming from the chorus. If we hear it dry, so it's basically mainly, we do have a sawtooth, but it's mainly this very thin square wave. So if we hear this square wave, so then we add the chorus on the Juno, then the chorus from, this is Native Instruments choral, and then a bit of delay. Here we get the first half of the riff, and then here we get the full riff. So we're building up to my absolute favourite part of the track, the pad. That is another arrangement weapon, is just taking bits out. Take a bar out, take half a bar out, make these little gaps, and then when things come back in, they have so much more impact. So this is something else that I have improved. What I used last time was like a pad sound on a Juno, but this time I've used a string sample, which I do think is closer. Honestly, this is frustrating me because it's not quite right. It's nearly right. Yeah, I've used a JV 1080 warm strings patch. I've got a bit of decimal and I've got the tal DAC just to give it some of that old sampler vibe. I'm also low passing it. Apparently this whole string sequence is a sample. If you can find that, I will be your best friend. Lemon Days, if you're watching, please dig out the album and post it up. We're coming up to another really exciting thing that I've literally just found and someone just commented. So the sound is this. The characteristic of it, it's got this chirpy sound in the left speaker and something else in the right. A lot of you said, oh, it's just a modem or something. And then this person mentioned this track by Soup called New York, London, Paris, Chicago, and this is it. When I was listening to the original, I could hear there's something in the right channel, there's some crackly stuff. So really gratifying to get that. It's so nice how the pads come in and then everything else drops away, so we're left with the pads that we're familiar with, and then the tune just switches right up. It's just masterful. Okay, so we've got the kick drum in now. I'm using a 909 kick. Another big mistake I made in the last video was with the low bass. So there's like a low bass that comes in, sounds like this. Last time I did quite a short bass on the TD3 and I used a saw wave. So this is a lot closer, and one of the important things is we've got a slide down an octave, giving it this like bouncy quality, boom. If I take that out, it's okay, but listen to it with. Makes so much difference, and it's a lot longer than the one I made it, so I'm quite happy with that. Drums are close, they're not exact. The sequence is pretty good, I think. Unless, I don't know if that's necessary. One big thing I couldn't get and I'd love some help with is the scratching. A lot of you mentioned it, and people mentioned Scratching to the Funk by Trouble Funk, or is it Dr. Funkenstein? And there's a Curtis Blow track, which I think this is like a scratch track of. I've searched this, it's like 6 or 7 minutes long. I couldn't find the exact bit. This is the kind of closest kind of bit I could get. This is just a 1-bar sample, which it is a 1-bar sample in Song of Life. I've high passed it, taken a lot of the low end out, and it kind of sounds, it's kind of the vibe. But there's a little clue, right? There's a little clue in the very end of the track. It sounds like that sample. Why does it have to be so damn tough? If you just listen once more. So if any of you could point that out, I don't know if I'll make a whole nother video on this track, but I'd love to get that. And then we have the amazing drop. So I had to start cheating a little bit because time was really running out for me. So what I did with these main drums is I used La 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 to just isolate the drums. And to me, it actually does sound like it's from a sample pack, like a drum loop. I actually cheated a couple more times. So there's a percussion loop in this part, which I just isolated. Really sounds like a samba rhythm. Oh, I've forgotten about that synth part. The last synth part, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. Tell me what you think. I've got a strong feeling this is made with a Nord lead, and I did play with Discovery, the Nord lead emulator, but I couldn't find the sound. A few of you mentioned that it might not be sequenced like this, it might be like a gate, and I think that's correct. How I got what I got, I actually used Zebra. It's 2 sawtooth waves, so they're dual, so there's 2, and they're both detuned. If we take the filter off, starting with that, then a little bit of filtering. It might be better without the filter actually. Overdrive actually made a big difference, quite a lot of overdrive. And then the phaser. I actually think that's closer without the filter. And the way I got the movement, I could have tried to use LFO, but I wanted to be a little bit more precise, so I automated the pedal manual depth so that it was kind of a bit regular. But I'm pretty happy with that actually. I'm fairly proud of myself for that one. We have this lovely outro bit. The final thing I cheated on is this, what I've called final synth. And I use La 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 to get that. I've kind of done something which I feel like is kind of the starting point of it. I suspect this is from the Nord lead as well, but I just ran out of time. I'm so happy to have got this close and this far with it. I'm so grateful to you guys for all your support and all your comments helping me with this stuff. If you're struggling with your music, I've built a course designed to take you from feeling stuck, unhappy with the music you're making, to consistently making music you're really proud of. If you'd like to know more, I'd be really happy to talk to you about it, so just hit the link down below. Let's just play out with the last part of the track.